As if they don't have too much on their plates. The Kings of Combat Sports Podcast, John and Wade. They'll talk about the things they did that day. They'll analyze the work of Vince and Triple H. Review-A-SMACKDOwn. 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 Review-A-SMACKDOwn.
Welcome to Review-A-SMACKDOwn. I am John Pollock alongside Wai Ting.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm doing swell. I've got a coffee. You have got your coconut water.
Coconut water.
100% pure. Is it 100% pure? Did someone get a coconut for you and squeeze it into that can for you?
Yeah, they did that.
They must have, right?
I watched them do it.
They wouldn't lie on a can.
Well,
There shouldn't be ingredients listed,
the
right?
ingredients are coconut water,
Well, there you have it.
so I believe it.
100% pure. Well, keep us posted how it tastes.
I fucking love this shit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you a big coconut water drinker? I've never seen you drink this before.
Well, you should follow me around more often.
Oh, this is Instagram stuff that I could learn if you would let us into your
Some
world.
things I like to keep private.
Your beverages. That's where you draw the line?
Yeah, until now. Now I'm really...
You're opening up.
Spilling my guts here. Just telling people, what's next.
Well, one milk, one sugar. I'm an open book, Wai.
Oh, damn.
I am an open book. And later on in the show, we're going to have a book review, actually, for the people that download the audio version of Review-A-SMACKDOwn.
Oh, okay, so for the YouTube people... Sorry.
Tough. They don't read. They just like to watch things.
Yeah.
So
As opposed to people that listen, who obviously also read.
Hey, you could be...
Maybe we'll transcribe it.
I'm going to read the entire book, actually. It's going to be a book on tape.
Oh, yes. Okay.
The entire Ric Flair Charlotte book that just came out on Tuesday.
Ah, right.
So I will give my thoughts on that.
Can't wait.
But first up, we're going to Oakland, California, where if you and I went to this show at the Oracle Arena, we might have doubled the attendance.
Oh, was it bad?
I heard from one fan who was there who stated that the upper deck was tarped off, as was the hard camera side. So it didn't sound... Last week was a pretty low turnout as well, and that was the Las Vegas show with everything surrounding it. This one in Oakland, not well attended. What do you feel? This has been a bit of a trend on SmackDown. Do you think this is the loss of John Cena? Do you think it's certain characters that are just not over on SmackDown? What do you think the combination of factors have led to?
I would assume the biggest thing is probably the loss of John Cena.
I agree.
The lack of star power overall on SmackDown compared to Raw. As I watch SmackDown as a TV show, I actually like it a lot more than I do Raw most weeks. But is that enough of a draw for somebody who doesn't necessarily watch and just looks at the card and says, Braun Strowman isn't here, Brock's not here, all these guys aren't here.
So we said last week, when you look at your top stars in the company, I would argue the top four are all on Raw. When you look at the number one guy on SmackDown, whether you feel it's Randy Orton, maybe Kevin Owens now at that certain, they are way down when you compare to the prime guys that are on Raw.
And perhaps there's something to be said about the whole Jinder Mahal experiment and how that's been affecting, I guess their marquee matchups. Because anybody going to a show is going to see Jinder Mahal pretty much advertised at the very top or near the top.
With red hot segments like Tuesday night, you think this guy should be on fire.
So, I don't know. You think it's some cause for concern that Vince will look at this and you think some changes may come?
If it's a prolonged period. It's not the end of the world. Our television numbers are pretty stable. It's not as though ratings have declined on SmackDown, but it's always something to watch. And I think that Cena leaving is a notable factor as well. So we start off in Oakland, and there was a big recap off the top, a great video package. The video packages on Raw and here, recapping the Owens-Vince angle, were tremendous, including... Was this shown last week where Stephanie goes down the aisle and gets into Owens' face? That was shown on TV. Yeah. And it ends with Vince on his knees, bloodied on his forehead. This was the passion of the Vince.
Did not shy away from showing the blood whatsoever.
Not at all.
As opposed to many other segments in the past where...
No black and white.
Tried to hide the blood, at least or do it black and white. But this time it was obviously very deliberate.
They know what color his blood is. They weren't shying away from that way.
Yeah.
He was an open book.
It's blue. When it's oxidized.
Oh.
It's red.
Okay. Well, it wasn't oxidized, was it?
No. It was. Yeah. What you saw was oxidized because it was outside.
I meant the opposite. Okay.
Oh.
Shane comes out to start the show. No dancing from Shane.
No dancing.
You realized he would have murdered this angle for me if he came out dancing.
Oh, I'm sure he.
It would have been done. And he's done that stupid dance in serious situations.
Right.
I already was applauding this man. I was like, no matter what he says, this segment's a win for me because he didn't do the damn dance.
The song itself almost kind of ruined it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like when a man.
What if it had been like an a cappella, like sad version of it?
Like a somber version?
Like a funeral procession.
Here comes
Like, the money. Dun, dun, dun.
That'd be great.
Money,
But
money,
like,
money.
it's the same problem like that Sean would always have when he like was coming out to like react to a serious angle that was happening, and then it's just
a sexy boy.
Yeah, it just kind of took you out of it a little. And Shane kind of has the same thing.
As he's lost his life savings and has to go, he's destitute, and JBL hires him.
Well, Sean's latter career really had nothing to do with the whole sexy boy thing. You know, he was like the Christian.
Christian sexy
Man,
boy, man. He was
guess.
Jesus. Jesus was a good-looking man.
Jesus, a sexy boy.
Jesus looked like Sean in his latter years of his career.
Jesus looked like Sean. Huh.
Don't you think? A bit?
Yeah.
They both had like the
I guess that's
the
what
longer hair, kind of a receding hairline.
That's what Jesus was going for, I guess.
That was it. Yeah. So Corey Graves stated that Vince broke 3 ribs last week and called it a cowardly act by Owens. And Shane notes his father's toughness, and he's had differences with his father in the past, but he loves his father, and explains how he was at home last week watching this with his 3 sons, watching his hero being decimated. And he said, I will strike back with vengeance. He says that you beat down the patriarch of my family, and I, Shane McMahon, condemn you to a ruthless beating from my own hands, a life of pain and suffering from these hands, and I condemn you to hell in a cell. Mm-hmm. Samuel L. Jackson has left the arena.
Yeah.
Man, was this great.
I thought Shane was awesome here.
Dude, I thought Shane was fantastic.
Shane came out here and he played angry, but not the explosive type of angry. It was more of a boiling angry.
This was Bill Watts. As I said on Twitter, he morphed from Eric to Bill Watts in this segment.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, but I thought he played it perfectly. You know, holding back that kind of real, like it was almost to the point where like he had his time of being upset, and now it's been a week. Now he's just like he can't wait to get his hands on Kevin Owens, and he painted a great picture of him watching the moment with his children, and I felt like he made that his perception of the angle relatable to almost anybody. You know, imagine you watching something like that with your child, you know, or me watching something like that with my dad involved. I mean, now I want to see him get his revenge.
And it was so smart not to have Owens on the show and giving an explanation. You had him on the show, but gave the explanation as to why Shane just didn't find this guy backstage. I mean, those little details at times, I nitpick about them because they're glaring. And in this one, they addressed it, why Shane and Owens were not in the same building, but you still had Owens later on in the show for an interview.
So do you care? How do you maintain that for the rest of the week, though?
I don't know if you will necessarily keep them away. I kind of hope they don't touch before, but I feel that they will.
Yeah,
I mean, given that we have... They only have 2 more episodes, actually, till Hell in a Cell. So it's not that far away. It's October 9th. So October 8th, I think. So we do have 2 more episodes, and I hope that they
can get physical maybe on the go-home show, sure.
Perhaps, yeah. And I don't think it's not the death of anything for them to touch beforehand, just not giving away too much. What I don't want to see is Shane do that damn elbow through the table on the go-home show like he did to The Undertaker.
Right. Why not? Overdone?
Overdone, and I also feel that for this Hell in a Cell, I almost don't want to see the stupid stunt, which that will lead to everyone's expectation level for. This should be a violent fight.
I certainly don't want to see him jump off the cage.
I don't think this fits the story to do the big stunt. I think it's silly.
Well, I mean, the idea would be that he really wants to hurt this person rather than win the match. That'd be...
Maybe it's Owens that is going to be taking the big fall or something.
Oh, God. Yeah, he wants to kill him, so he will fall off the thing. I think it was a wrong idea to just put Shane in the Hell in a Cell so close to the other one altogether. Because you do expect a jump, and when people...
This would be way better as a street fight.
Yeah.
You could book a better match. Although in this Hell in a Cell, I feel there's going to be blood.
Oh, I think there has to be. From Kevin Owens.
So that ended the first segment. Very strong promo from Shane. During the break, they advertised Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe for the Winnipeg House Show on September the 30th, next weekend.
So he's back. Joe is back.
He was advertised for September 30th, so I don't know if that's just an outdated ad, but he was advertised for September 30th.
Winnipeg, where he lives.
Who lives?
Does he live in Saskatchewan?
Brock's in Saskatchewan,
okay.
so, same thing to Canadians.
But is that why he's doing the Winnipeg show? Because he lives close?
It might be. It's just probably, they pick a few cities of him to do house shows. They chose Winnipeg. Aiden English, who got an introduction from Greg Hamilton, starts to sing, but he doesn't do his usual intro. He instead starts singing Randy Orton's theme song. He hears voices in his head, which is kind of weird because it's full of lead.
Yeah. It's the same formula as what's making Elias, relatively successful.
This had a rhyming scheme to it.
Yeah, I think something different every single week. In particular,
I think he could run with this idea.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is way better than what he was doing prior.
Doing the versions, his versions, he should do Shane's somber.
100%. You could do so much with this guy and different opponents, and they gave him a real match here too, which is notable. That it wasn't just he wasn't Kurt Hawkins here.
No, but Elias definitely is getting pushed a lot better than he is. Elias actually wins his matches, but English at this point is still pretty much a jobber. But in this match, he was given a bit of offense, yeah.
Yeah, so Orton comes out, and I thought this match was going 30 seconds, but instead, there was a power slam, draping DDT gets avoided by English. They go to the floor. Orton drops him on the barricade, then he goes to drop him on the announcer's desk, but English counters and drops Orton on the desk, and they go through a commercial break.
Yeah.
I don't know if Aiden English has ever had a commercial break to break up a match. English is in control when they return. Orton fought back, stomped his foot in the corner like he was Marco Huas, and then English dove off the second turnbuckle into an RKO, and Randy pinned him in 7 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, this was a bit lengthier than, I guess, a typical Aiden English match.
By about 7 minutes.
There's something there, but I don't think they're serious about pushing him or anything. The RKO out of nowhere, I think the key is basically cutting out Randy's comeback, You have the villain's heat right into the pinfall with the RKO, and I think it works almost every time.
So after Orton has won his match, Rusev comes out and states he was going to be a national hero after SummerSlam, but Orton ended up turning him into a national disgrace in 10 seconds. So tonight he's going to rip the fangs out of the Viper's mouth. And he comes into the ring, and this signals the bell for this match to occur. And Aiden gets back onto the apron, and Randy goes for the RKO, and Rusev shoves him into Aiden English. Orton knocks English off and then gets hit with a super kick from Rusev, who pins Randy in 10 seconds.
Well, I mean, it's a distraction finish after Orton had already had a match, so it was hardly kind of the same. It was not fair. But Rusev celebrates like he just won the title.
This was awesome afterwards. We come back from break, and it's Rusev backstage, just so happy. The biggest smile I've ever seen on this man's face. I got him! I got him! He's so elated. Rich Renee points out, and he says, I don't know what that means. And he says now he can return home a conquering hero, and starts chanting, Rusev number one. Rusev number one.
And a chunk of the crowd was
if
chanting
he continues this chant, he's going to totally get this chant over.
Well, he's such a entertaining, fun to watch heel that I think the crowd will definitely side with him.
He was so awesome in this
Yeah,
backstage segment.
So, now they're technically even, and I felt this was a fine way to build to a pay-per-view rematch, or at least a rematch in the weeks ahead.
I guess it's the Hell in a Cell match, which will be a match.
Which will be a match, which will be a third match, yes.
The Singh brothers brought out Jinder Mahal, and he said that some were in an uproar over his comments last week regarding Shinsuke Nakamura, and said that Nakamura's face is still full of delight, as they showed a photo of Nakamura on the screen. Then Mahal pointed to his angry face, which was the same photo, and says some of the fans are jingoistic, and then shows Nakamura, who he calls an artist, and here is his artist face with the same photo again.
Yeah.
Boy.
That was the gag. He looks the same with every expression that he makes.
This was the point where the few people that did go to this show were thinking, man, I wish I could skip through this had I PVR'd this. Then he shows his defeated face, which I could have taken a photo of myself during this segment and shown my defeated face from when he beat Nakamura at SummerSlam. And then he said, Shinsuke, you always look the same. I couldn't believe they scripted this line. The fans boo this and start chanting for Nakamura. Mm-hmm. Jinder says the fans are just hiding their own xenophobia, and behind his back, they all say to Shinsuke that his haircut was done by a dog groomer and that he looks like Mr. Miyagi as the Singh brothers do karate poses, and the crowd starts chanting, "That's too far."
Mm-hmm.
I thought this sucked, dude. Like, it just, to me, was the lamest attempt at heat that fell so flat to me. Like, I don't think anyone saw this as offensive. They saw this as just such a weak attempt to get this over. And, well, first of all, your thoughts. You seem to have enjoyed some of this stuff more, the Jinder kind of race baiting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, is it in poor taste? Maybe. But I think this shit exists in real life to probably a greater degree. And I thought this was just a simplified version of what occurs in society, played by a heel who is claiming the audience is racist while actually being the racist and bringing up and laughing at these stereotypes himself while pushing it on the audience, saying, oh, look, you're laughing. But the audience isn't laughing. And so I thought this worked. I mean, you can argue that it's easy, yeah, sure, but I feel like ultimately it's no different than like a scene from a show like Oz, where you have race factions make fun of each other, because in the end it makes you want to see the babyface kick the villain's ass. And here I felt like Nakamura ended up being a bigger focus and somebody that you wanted to see defeat Jinder Mahal a lot more afterwards.
Your premise is fine. I didn't think this was cleverly written in that regard. I don't think
it wasn't supposed to be clever, though. Those jokes weren't supposed to get over. If the audience was actually laughing,
you know what the biggest problem though is, that in the WWE and these segments, the voice of these segments is a white man. That's what you think of with the WWE writing team. That's what you think of from Vince McMahon. That this is a white man's perception of Indian or Japanese relations, for instance.
But I didn't get that sense here. Because it was
I took this segment as being written by someone with... this to me is not... It didn't create any heat for me. I don't think this put much on Nakamura as a babyface. And I think it was... And to that point, the WWE chose not to even upload this segment onto YouTube. So I don't think they were even happy with the end result. What result were you anticipating?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's certainly risky in 2017 doing an angle like this, but I really didn't have an issue with it.
Let me clarify. I wasn't offended by this. I just thought this was lame. I thought this was bad. I just thought it was bad television. I'm not calling for an apology over something like this. It's just, to me, it's just such a weak attempt to get this feud over by trying to use race involved in it, and I think it's just a really muddied angle that I don't think the audience even knows what it's cheering for, like what it wants out of this.
It wants Shinsuke Nakamura to beat Jinder Mahal for the championship.
I don't know. I don't find this to be clicking at any way.
I mean, it had the audience cheering for Nakamura to come out, you know? Again, I'm not going to say this was great writing at all, but I feel like, to me, it worked.
Well, to me, this just feels like compare this to the Shane Owens angle. This feels like a mid-card angle, and it is your world title program.
But that was the case with Orton as well. You know, like you're just talking about Jinder Mahal, who's just not as strong of a performer as Kevin Owens is. But that's besides the point. You also have, I mean, the problem here is you have Jinder Mahal.
That's a big factor.
But you have Jinder Mahal leading this feud verbally, because Shinsuke Nakamura is not going to be cutting those promos too. And like so much of Mahal's character is calling the audience racist. Well, here he is being the actual racist himself, and I actually think that's there's meat to that. You know, I find that really interesting, and the audience is playing along, giving the reactions that they're supposed to be giving in this feud.
Renee then interviewed Nakamura backstage, who said, Jinder's very funny, but it won't be so funny at Hell in a Cell when he wins the title.
So now I thought this was weak. I thought, Shinsuke needed a bit better comeback after, words like what Jinder Mahal said. But obviously he's not really going to be expected to, cut an awesome promo.
Which this angle kind of necessitates.
But I feel like he should be doing what he's actually good at, and that's just doing cool physical things. Just come out, storm out there, take out one Singh brother at a time, week to week. Just make him look cool. Less of the talking, because it's his weakest point. And if I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, I guess Jinder making fun of his speeches, he kind of talks a little funny. Like, I'd have Nakamura do a lot less of that and a lot more physical.
Yeah, it's just, this feud to me is just failing on a lot of fronts. And on top of it, it's probably just going to be a straight match on Hell in a Cell. Like, I don't think it's getting any stipulation, which is kind of weird because you had the interference at SummerSlam lead to Jinder's win. Yeah. And you're coming back with the exact same dynamic. Mm-hmm. Where the Singhs are in the corner. There's no real even addressing how they helped Jinder win.
Yeah.
After that, AJ comes out. And first he speaks about Kevin Owens, who doesn't know what he's done. And he beat up the man who's responsible for AJ being in the WWE, Vince McMahon. The guy that was gave him the Pitbull moniker, Vince McMahon. He says that Owens won't make it out of Hell in a Cell, and then he shifts his focus to Baron Shortcut Corbin.
I wonder why the mention of Kevin Owens if he doesn't have a program with him.
I don't know why they had AJ address it. Maybe it was just he has the connection to both of them, to Shane and Kevin Owens, and they just want to put as much heat on this angle as possible. It's the angle that everyone is focused upon, but it was kind of out of left field if he has no role in that feud. So he brings up Baron, his failed cash-in with the Money in the Bank briefcase, how he failed at SummerSlam against John Cena, how you're going to fail against him, and said you can huff and puff, but you can never blow down the house that AJ Styles built. So Corbin comes out, and both men are being introduced, and then Corbin jumps him before the bell even rings, stomps him in the corner, until Ty Dillinger runs in and clips his knee, and Corbin is holding his left ankle in pain. Corbin then rolls to the floor. He can't stand up. Styles attacks him and applies the calf crusher back in the ring. Corbin's tapping, but the match never started. Corbin rolls to the floor as the crowd chants, "You tapped out." So we never got the match, and I assume this happens at the pay-per-view.
I came out of this actually feeling bad for Baron Corbin because this referee just like, what a terrible referee if this was real. Corbin is attacked by Ty Dillinger, comes back into the ring, repeatedly tells the referee, I can't continue.
So
the ref is just like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, never stops the match or never actually cancels the match, and then just sits there as AJ attacks this already injured man and applies this calf crusher onto him. I actually felt bad for him.
Well, maybe it was
this ref should be arrested.
Well, Corbin broke the rules first, so the referee, hey, don't.
Referees are allowed to do that.
Don't wait for my bell. We're tough shit.
Oh, okay.
This is not a sanctioned match. Kill him. Corbin is hurt backstage, and Renee goes up to him. He says he feels violated, and his chance was ruined by Dillinger, who he called the perfect zero, and he said he's going to get even.
Yeah, I felt bad for Corbin, but at least I feel like he showed that he was healthy enough to come up with a quip like calling Ty Dillinger the perfect zero while he was so apparently angry and injured. Like anybody would, right? When you're so upset that, that perfect zero. He couldn't be that hurt.
Well, he said here he sprained his ankle.
Oh, okay, that's it.
Sprain.
Yeah.
Charlotte comes out, her first time on television in a long time, and thanks to people for their thoughts and prayers for her father who's been sick. She says that she has learned how fragile life is and is going to make her moments count. And then Natalya interrupts and welcomes Charlotte to her celebration of women. She mentions Florence Nightingale and Oprah, along with the women from the Mae Young Classic.
Mm-hmm.
She says tonight they will focus on one woman who completed something Amelia Earhart could not, and reveals a poster of herself holding up the title. Charlotte then immediately challenges her for the title when Becky Lynch comes out and calls Natalya the craziest there is, was, and ever will be, and that the title is going back to its rightful owner, which apparently is Becky. She is the rightful owner of this championship that she hasn't held in a year. Naomi comes out and says that Natalya doesn't represent all women or the women from SmackDown Live. All you represent is your stank cats. And then gets interrupted by Tamina and Lana, who call the others pathetic villagers, and that Natalya is a crazy cat lady, and now it's Tamina's time. So Natalya has a meltdown. She's yelling that she's not a crazy cat lady. She'll be the champion forever. And then Daniel Bryan comes out, refers to Natalya as Glorious Steinem, and then makes a main event four-way with Charlotte, Tamina, Becky, and Naomi, and the winner will face Natalya at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
This did not read well in my recap.
Natalya hasn't really been making that much of an impact since she's won the title. But I feel like giving her something like this crazy cat lady thing that they seem to be trying to push, I think could be great, you know? Like, it's kind of like the way like people would call Jerry Lawler Burger King or whatever. She's the crazy cat lady. And
She's going to start coming to the ring with, like, cats?
Yeah, call Teddy. He probably has a few cats ready already, but trained in ring by this point. So.
Oh, ones that could actually do spots in a match?
Yeah, of course. So anyway, I think she should run with it, you know? And it could make her at least a bit more interesting than she is right now.
All right.
Because she's not that interesting.
All right, well, add the cats then.
Yeah.
Big E and Kofi Kingston took on the Hype Bros non-title match. Usos were on commentary. Mojo did a spot where he had Big E in an abdominal stretch and started chanting, "He ain't hype," as he slapped the side of Big E. Another commercial break. They announced a New Day and the Usos will have a rematch at Hell in a Cell for the tag titles. Big E fought back, went for a splash, landed on the knees of Zack Ryder. Then there was a drop kick off the turnbuckle and the broski boot. Kingston came in, dove over the top into that trust fall to Mojo on the floor, and then they followed with the midnight hour to pin Zack Ryder.
They referenced Marshawn Lynch.
I guess he scored a touchdown like that.
Oh, is that right?
I don't watch football, so I'd have no clue.
I didn't even know he was a football player.
And then they posed with the titles towards the Usos after. So I'm not going to complain about another match between these two.
Yeah, no, not at all. The Hype Bros lose again to set up the angle later on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we had the Kevin Owens interview via satellite. Owens was in a shirt and tie, which I thought made this. He apologizes for last week. He didn't know what came over him, and he apologizes to the WWE Universe, WWE management, and to the McMahon family, and says with all sincerity, "Shane, you had it coming. You made me do it. You made me want to punch and kick Vince McMahon like a garbage bag and break his ribs. You disparaged the good name of Kevin Owens and says he has nothing but respect for Vince McMahon, who gave him his word that he wouldn't punish him for injuring a McMahon. And then right in front of him, all of a sudden when Vince said those words, he turned into Shane, and he saw Shane McMahon. And he said he also wants to apologize to anyone that watches Hell in a Cell, because last week is nothing compared to what he will do to Shane McMahon, and that for what he will do to Shane, people like him don't go to hell, they go to heaven."
Awesome.
Both guys, tremendous promos on Tuesday.
Yeah, Owens is just... He managed to shift the focus from... I mean, he attacked Vince McMahon, but shifted that focus right back onto the feud itself with Shane, and I think he just, like... He's just like plays such a psychological villain in professional wrestling, and I think that's really rare, you know, when you have a guy who can believably play that type of character. Like, I feel like they should put him in a WWE Studios film as the lead villain. I think he'd do a great job, probably a lot better than most.
Yeah, he was outstanding here. I thought the look with the shirt and the tie, it reminded me of Buzz from Home Alone, the older brother.
Oh, okay.
Remember after the recital where
that-
Buzz has to apologize in front of the whole family?
I hated that dude.
And then he just turns to Kevin and says, "Beat that, you little trout sniffer." And the whole family buys the apology, and then Kevin has a just blows his shit on Buzz.
It's really like an ideal look for a bully, isn't it?
It's a perfect look.
Yeah.
So maybe Shane is going to win via Tarantula at Hell in a Cell.
Wow.
Also, the fact that Owens so flat out said that last week is nothing compared to Hell in a Cell. Like, how can you not do blood in that match?
Yeah.
I think you have to do something significant in that match. The Hype Bros are backstage, and Mojo says he is sick and tired of losing, and that the two of them are going to have to do something drastic for things to change.
What's drastic?
Ooh, maybe they are going to expand their name to the Hyperbole Brothers.
I don't know if that's that drastic.
That's pretty big. It literally is big if you're using hyperbole in the name.
What could they possibly do? Could they play like maybe like a more mellow version of the Hype Bros?
Oh, the calm brothers.
Yeah.
Where they don't care about anything.
Maybe they're gonna have to do steroids. Maybe that's the drastic step that they need.
And then one of them fails a test, and that leads to the turn because the other guy's left. This time it can be Mojo because Zach had left for his injury. Well, all great ideas. So we're going with, we've got our race angle for the title, we've got Cat Lady for the women's title, and then we've got the steroid angle.
SmackDown is much.
I mean, if you're bringing back blood, I mean, why not just get rid of the wellness policy too? And
must see TV. Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler came out. I had totally forgotten about this man. He says he's the greatest in-ring performer in WWE history, yet you still don't get it. It's like the identical promo.
The same.
There's nothing new. There's nothing new. He goes backstage. He returns as Triple H with a leather jacket and just says, "Can I run NXT now? I don't have mom jeans on." The crowd is chanting CM Punk, which was the most entertaining part of this. He returns to the back and comes out as Shawn Michaels in chaps and a Shawn Michaels shirt and cowboy hat. He says it doesn't get any more superficial than that. I think I'm losing my smile. And doesn't know how anyone can be taken seriously like that. Says that they can go lower. So he goes back and comes out with the DX theme and comes out wearing a special 20-year commemorative edition t-shirt for DX. He's literally shilling their merchandise.
What, is that a new shirt?
It said on the back 20 years, so it has to be a new shirt. It's
okay.
Had to come out this year. More Punk chants. He says he has two words, who cares? And it says, who cares about two dads acting like teenagers, telling their corny jokes, and all the people care are these elaborate entrances, not in-ring talent, and repeats that he's the best ever, and they couldn't care less. He doesn't care about them, and leaves.
Yeah. Why does he need to put his logo onto all the Titantrons?
How much work does this guy put into these?
Something he's supposed to hate not care about so much.
He's got a graphics department working with him for all this. So, I mean, this is obviously going to end with Bobby Roode. And
I mean, it should have ended 2 weeks ago, really. Like, how long do you really need to drag this thing? You know, I'm hoping for the Roode thing at least next week because, I mean, it's just getting tough to watch at this point.
I almost feel that they debuted Bobby Roode too early.
Yeah.
This should have been his debut, was Dolph Ziggler coming out one more time, railing on entrances and his dislike for all of them, and then boom, the lights go out. That would have been such a better debut for Bobby Roode, who just came in with no announcement and came in with no program. That would have been such a great debut.
I'm with you.
I almost feel like they're keeping him off TV now for that next reveal.
I feel like often they'll debut these NXT guys simply out of convenience and also maybe just because they're in the same town as the takeover that took place the weekend before, and also maybe to ride whatever internet buzz there might be. But you're absolutely right. I think this would have been a better way to debut Bobby Roode.
Main event four-way, Charlotte, Naomi, Becky Lynch, and Tamina. They went through a commercial early on. Naomi did a springboard crossbody to both Charlotte and Becky. Naomi came in with her kicks to Charlotte, and then this weird-looking jawbreaker for a 2 count. Natalya's watching in the back. Charlotte set up Naomi and Tamina in the corner, climbed to the top, and hit a top rope moonsault to both, and then went for covers on each, who both kicked out. Figure 4 is applied to Naomi. Becky leg dropped Charlotte to break it. Then Tamina hit a Samoan drop to Becky, goes to the top, hits her splash with Naomi making the save, and then Lana pulls Naomi to the floor. Lana hits Lana takes a head kick, and then Tamina super kicks Naomi on the apron, and Charlotte hits a running boot to Tamina and pins her. So Charlotte is your number 1 contender to end the show.
Yeah, I thought a good main event. I mean, I don't feel like by the end of it, with all the commercial breaks, they had a ton of time, but it almost helped because they worked such a fast style, really well stacked spots, one right after the other. And I think Charlotte getting the match right now, she is the right one. Part of me feels a little bit uncomfortable because it almost kind of feels like they're exploiting a terrible situation with her father's, health. But, I mean, I get it with the book and everything. And I'm sure Rick himself wants to make an appearance on WWE TV. With the amount of, with how active he's been since his surgery or since his illness on social media, I'm sure he'd love to come back just to show the world, hey, look at me. So the moment of Charlotte beating Natalya for the championship and having Ric Flair come in, I think that'll be very special. And that's when you have Carmella cash in.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
She wins it, and then her father's out there to congratulate her.
Rick.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. That's a great angle.
Yeah.
That is a great angle.
Be good.
And, yeah, a possible one. So that was SmackDown. The strength of this show for me was Owens and Shane.
Yeah.
That, to me, was the highlight part of this episode of SmackDown. Beyond that, I didn't get a whole lot out of this episode, to be honest. But the main angle, to me, is just, it's tremendous. I think it's the best angle in the company at the moment. I think I'm enjoying it more than even
last week and
the top programs on Raw at the moment. I think that this match feels like a really big match for Hell in a Cell.
I agree. This was obviously not designed to be the level of show that last week was, not nearly the level of star power, but I think a good follow-up to the big angle from last week and some good amounts of progression for almost all their storylines.
Do you think we'll see Vince McMahon on TV before Hell in a Cell?
No.
Do a promo or anything?
We shouldn't see him for a long, long time.
He's got those broken ribs. All right, so that was SmackDown, everybody. We will sign off now for the YouTube version, but if you want to hear more from us, you can go download the audio version of Review a SmackDown, where we will go through your feedback, and also we're going to chat about the Ric Flair and Charlotte book that is out. I've read the book. I will give you my thoughts on that. And Big Friday party. It's the 8th anniversary show of Review-A-Way. Wai and I are going to sit down. We are going to watch an entire wrestling event in full. It is available on the WWE Network, but what we are reviewing, big surprise. So tune in Friday, and then you can watch along with us. Anything else, Tad?
No, save up your Friday night or save up some time on the weekend to sit along with 2 Canadians as we watch a very interesting show.
Doesn't get much more exciting than that in this world. And then the Law will be back Sunday night, midnight Eastern, following the No Mercy pay-per-view event. All of our regular shows are up at liveaudiowrestling.com. You can subscribe at youtube.com/liveaudiowrestling. And that is it for us, and we will chat with you on Friday.
Review-A-SmackDown.